Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Church of Evanston. I'm Reverend Susan Francis, the assistant minister here at UCE, and this morning Margaret Pekarek is our worship associate. Whether this is your spiritual home or you are newly discovering this community, we are grateful to share this time with you. We strive to be an inclusive and welcoming community, seeking truth in love and nurturing the human spirit for a world made whole. We are guided by our principles and values, which remind us in every moment and through every challenge that each of us is worthy of love and that we are all connected through the vast and beautiful web of existence. We come together to remember our kinship with one another and to hold one another in heart and mind with tenderness and careful attention. We come to dedicate ourselves more fully to living our shared values. People of all ages are a welcome and important part of our faith community. We are blessed to have the children in the sanctuary for the first half of every service and an entire service for all ages about once a month. The nest in the front of the sanctuary is our designated area for families, and we have quiet fidget toys and activities and a kid-friendly order of service. There is nursery care available throughout the service in room 11. As part of being a welcoming and inclusive community, we have some information that's looping through our screen that will help you get oriented to UCE, and a few announcements. Our Unitarian Universalist Association's General Assembly will be only online this year, and it's being held from June 20th through 23rd. If you're interested in being a delegate for UCE, we are allotted 8 based on our size. Please check the newsletter for information, or you may talk with Lee Banner, who's down in the nursery right now. But Lee will be back up at the welcome table, one of the program tables in the back. So if you have questions about General Assembly or want to be a delegate, please see Lee after the service. And now I want to invite Margaret up to give this week's Pledge Drive testimonial.
Good morning, everybody. I'm really happy to be here. Charlie and I moved to Chicago at the beginning of the pandemic, and it was a difficult time to be in a big city for the first time, away from our home congregation. We started out at Unity Temple because we knew some people there when they had briefly been part of the Ann Arbor congregation. And then it just became so difficult for Charlie with his mobility challenges to get around in that building. So we thought, well, we'd look around, and we came here. Oh my goodness. You stand there in front of that glass door and it opens for you. Anybody who had any part in making this building so accessible, I thank you again and again, every time we come here, actually. Well, I want to talk to you about generosity today, and I'll tell you a little story. We moved to Chicago because we have 2 grandchildren who live here, Billy and Lily. They're not twins. It was a long family story about how they happen to have names that rhyme. They both attend St. Hellyer Catholic School, and they go to Mass every Wednesday. So when we were taking care of them one weekend so their parents could do something fun, we thought, well, let's invite them to come to UCE. So we did. We got here early. They showed them the nest. Let's see, Lily was 7 at the time, and Billy had just turned 10. They thought that was really fun. I went with them to the faith formation, I think that's what you call Sunday school here. And they enjoyed the discussion. It was intellectually challenging. They liked having their opinions requested. They liked going outside. They liked snack. Who wouldn't? I think it was taco chips and salsa that day. And it was altogether a good experience. On the way home, I asked them if they had any questions or if anything to say about visiting here. And Lily thought for a minute, and then she said, "Are you and Grandpa really important people?" And I said, "Well, why do you ask that?" And she said, "Because everyone said hello to you, and everyone knew your name." So congratulations on radical welcoming. And this is such a special place. Please express your appreciation of this special place with a pledge in an amount that makes you feel good. Good morning.
Thank you, Margaret. So here's the update. Reverend Eileen gave it to me hot off the sticky note this morning. So we have received 162 pledges for a total of $517,303, which means we have 124,697 left to go, which means that we are just 19% away from the amount that we are dreaming of. So thank you for everyone who's already given. If you haven't given yet, so if you haven't turned in your pledge form yet, please do so today so that we can continue finalizing our budget. Volunteers supporting the pledge drive will be at the back of the sanctuary at the program table along the south windows to either help you complete your pledge form or to answer any questions that you have about pledging. Next Sunday, March 3rd, please bring your favorite potluck dish to celebrate our World Made Whole casserole potluck to celebrate the end of our pledge drive. That's next Sunday. And then please save the date to attend one of our 2 budget town hall meetings on either March 12th at 7 p.m. on Zoom or March 24th after the worship service here in the sanctuary. And now, let us settle into a time for our shared reflection, celebration, and inspiration. As we're beginning our worship service, those of you joining us online are invited to get your chalice as we join in beloved community. Welcome to worship.
As for me and my house, you will find us serving peace. As for me and my house, you will find us serving peace. As for me and my house, you will find us serving peace. Peace for all right now. As for me and my house, you will find us serving peace. As for me and my house, you will find us serving peace. As for me and my house, you will find us serving peace. Peace for all right now. As for me and my house, you will find us serving love. As for me and my house, you will find us serving love. As for me and my house, you will find us serving love. Let there be joy for all right now.
This is my first time. The Unitarian Church of Evanston resides on land that was recorded as being transferred from the local Potawatomi community to the U.S. government in 1829, shortly before the Potawatomi in this area were forcefully removed west of the Mississippi River. This land was then sold to white settlers. We remember the ancestors of contemporary African Americans, the individuals, families, and networks of Black people who built up our country's culture and economy, a role forced on them originally by enslavement. We acknowledge the intentional violence that landed on North American shores in 1619 has continued throughout the generations and remains a reality today. These acknowledgments are one small effort toward building long-term solidarity with contemporary communities. We commit ourselves to take what we learn here today and incorporate it into our lives and turn our thoughts into actions. Please join in our words of shared commitment. We name these realities with honor for all the ancestors, respect for our descendants, and gratitude for the land we use, the sacred space. Alice Swan brought the flowers to honor the 80th birthday and 59th wedding anniversary of her parents, Janet and Craig Swan. As she lights our chalice, symbol of our living tradition, please join in saying "The Sacred Power of Justice" by Reverend Jamie Yondell. The words are on the screen. We light this flame to ignite the sacred power of justice. We light this flame so that it may be a beacon of hope in moments of uncertainty, fear, anxiety, and the unknown. We light this flame and are emboldened by its blaze, knowing our strength as a prophetic and powerful people is rooted in the diverse ways we answer the call to love. Please rise in body or spirit and join in saying the words of our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Before we sing our opening hymn, I invite those joining us online to greet each other in the chat, and those gathered in the sanctuary to turn to one another briefly to say good morning, trying to greet someone who's new to you.
please stay after the service and continue your conversations. If you are new to UCE, please stop by the welcome table in the back with the red tablecloth. Bob Mesley is back there today to get more information about our community. Let's keep creating new relationships and building kinship among us. Please remain risen and join in singing our opening hymn, 1067, Mother Earth, Beloved Garden. Because we have the choir, we're going to sing all 5 verses. And I decided to leave in the original language of the composer's original lyrics, so you will note the binary gendered language. I hope the essence of the lyrics connects you to the vast aspects of the earth.
I'll just tell you a little secret. My daughter-in-law, Mallory Barnes, is a climate scientist, and she recently headed up a study to prove that planting trees makes a difference, cools our cities, etc. If you read The Guardian, she's mentioned there. Our story this morning is Something Happened to Our Planet. Kids Tackle the Climate Crisis, written by Marianne Solano and Marietta Collins, and illustrated by Bhagya Mandana Singh. I'm worried something bad is happening to our planet. Dad says the air and oceans are getting warmer, and that's why storms and fires are worse now than they were before. Mom says these changes won't hurt us now, but a warmer planet will make life harder in the future when I'm as old as Grandma. Grandma says humans hurt the planet, and humans can fix it. But I'm just one human. The planet is so big and I'm small. What can I do? Ants are smaller than you, said my little brother Cameron. A colony of ants can move a mountain of dirt, said Dad, and they help the plants grow. How? I asked. The colony makes a deep nest in the ground, led by the queen ant, said Dad. The ants turn the soil, which helps water and food reach the plants. I thought about how much I could do if I was an ant. But what's the first thing an ant needs? Other ants. I asked my friends to be part of my colony to help the planet. At first I thought I'd be the leader since it was my idea, but we ended up having 3 leaders, me, Carter, and Tilly. We're humans after all, not ants. Now we had to decide what we could do to help the planet. I already knew about pollution. How can we make the air cleaner, I asked Grandma. Plant trees, she said. I was confused, but trees are part of nature. How can they help? We are part of nature too. If we do our part, nature heals itself. She explained how trees clean the air by taking in the harmful gases humans make and giving us the oxygen we need to breathe. The trees were working hard to save the earth. What could we do to help them? We named our school group the Earth Patrol, and the trees we planted were as small as Cameron, but we knew they would be big one day. We wanted to do more. I wanted to do something that would help the planet now, something big. Oceans are big, said Cameron. We asked our teacher how we could help the ocean. The coral reef has thousands of colorful plants and creatures. They need each other and the water to survive. She said that warmer water hurts the coral and turns it white. What's making the water so warm? Asked Tally. The fuels we burn to make and move the things we use and throw away. Even the cans and water bottles we recycle? Asked Carter. It's better to reuse than recycle, said Mrs. Netme. Pardon me, Ms. Netme. It uses less fuel. Maybe we can look for things that we can reuse here at school, I said. Perfect, Ms. Netme said. Your group can start our school's first climate plan. Carter, Tally, and I gathered the Earth Patrol. We'll look everywhere in school to get ideas. We talked about what we could reuse at school. In the end, we decided on lunch trays that could be washed and used again. We wrote our idea and reasons why on a piece of paper, which we did not throw away. Ms. Netme went with us to the principal's office. When we were ready, we stood tall like trees and showed him our paper. He said he liked our idea, but the school didn't have the money to buy the trays and the extra dishwasher needed to clean them. We were disappointed. When I got home from school, I might have leaned on Mom and cried. I'm human after all, not a tree. But we did not give up. We asked our parents to help us talk about our idea at the next PTA meeting. We called it Trays for the Planet, or TP for short. Cameron loved saying our short name. We went to the PTA meeting. All of us brought our parents, and Carter brought his cousin, who is a newspaper reporter. A lot of teachers were there. We waved at Ms. Netme. We took turns reading aloud all the reasons why we thought the school should buy reusable trays. When it was my turn, I was as shaky as a leaf in a rainstorm. At first, my voice was weak. Then it got stronger. When I was done, I looked into the faces of the grown-ups. I still felt small, but I also felt big. First, there was silence, then clapping, then waiting. The PTA said yes to Trays for the Planet. We can start to help the oceans right now. Even better, the kids got the parents and teachers talking about how to help the planet. They are planning a way to get our schools energy from the sun. But here's the best part. Carter's cousin posted a story about our success, and now other schools may make their own climate plans. We are all a part of nature. If we do our part, nature heals itself.
I invite us to settle into a quiet time of reflection as we share our joys and sorrows. If you have a joy or a sorrow that you would like spoken aloud, you can write it in our Joys and Sorrows book that lives on the little table as you walk into the sanctuary, or you can fill out the form that's online. There's a button on our homepage, or you may email Reverend Eileen or myself. We listen to these offerings with tenderness and respect. Let us quiet our bodies and quiet our voices during this sacred time. These are the joys and sorrows that have been shared before our service today. From our Side with Love staff, Adrian Ballou. We hold the heartbreak of Nex Benedict, a non-binary child in Oklahoma who died this past week. While the details are still emerging of what happened, one thing is extraordinarily clear. Hateful policy and hateful theology are deadly. The ongoing dehumanization of trans and non-binary people by elected officials and hate groups fuels these actions. Our grief is holy. Our rage is divine. Our love is enduring. And our lives are sacred. And the joy from our Joy and Sorrows book is that Chester made it into law school. Sharing these concerns of the heart is part of our practice of beloved community. Together we expand our celebrations and lessen the burden of our grief. You are invited to come forward to light a candle. You can come down any of the 3 aisles. If you would like a candle brought to you, please raise your hand and Reverend Eileen will bring a candle to you. Please come forward. Please join me in an attitude, our words. Please join me in saying our collective words. For these joys we give our thanks, for these sorrows we give our love. Please join me in an attitude of prayer and meditation as I share with you this prayer by Elias Ortega, who is the current president of Meadville Lombard Theological School. Spirit of life, source of love, and sustainer of all, may the awe inspired in us by the bounty and beauty of the earth turn our hearts and minds toward forward-leading pathways of new possibilities. May how we choose to build our lives, our communities, and our world have as its foundations resilience, sustainability, and respect for all forms of life. Guide us, Spirit of the earth, to recognize the roads of connection that honor our interdependence with all beings and the cosmos, and guide us in our journey of the return of the stardust of our origin. Inspire us to invest in pathways that repair the harm of the past. Teach us anew the wisdom of our ancestors, and create a foundation for a future where both people and the planet can thrive. May it be so, and blessed be. As we sing our hymn of response, Comfort Me, our young people, preschool through 12th grade, are invited to head to their faith formation time with their adult leaders.
As we say in our covenant each Sunday, service is our law. UCE is called by our mission, values, and principles to contribute to our community, to form accountable partnerships, and to express gratitude through giving. Today's offering will be shared with Chicago Religious Leadership Network on Latin America. known as CRLN. This organization builds partnerships among social movements and organized communities in the U.S. and Latin America to work for sustainable economies, just relationships, and human dignity. You may text to give, mail in a check, put cash in the collection bowls, or give from our website. If you write a check, please indicate in the memo line if your check is for the shared offering or some other giving. The ushers will now come forward to pass the collection bowls down the rows. Please give as generously as you are able, and may what you give bring you joy.
Thank you, Gregory. Thank you all for your generosity. Our reading this morning is my brief summary of the origins of the environmental justice movement, which is captured by author Leah Thomas in her book, The Intersectional Environmentalist: How to Dismantle Systems of Oppression to Protect People and Planet. The environmental justice movement has its origins around 1978, when lawyer Linda McKeever Bullard asked her husband, Dr. Robert Bullard, who had a PhD in sociology, to help her in a class action lawsuit to prevent a landfill from being located in a middle-class Black community in Houston, Texas. Soon after, in 1982, a small, predominantly Black community in Warren County, North Carolina, came together to fight against being designated a hazardous waste landfill site. This intersectionality of climate justice and racial justice developed on top of the foundational but largely separate work of the environmental movement and the civil rights movement of the 1960s. Right now, this movement is gaining greater momentum as the often separate work of climate justice activists and racial justice activists are coming together to heal the planet while protecting the people most impacted by climate change. That ends our reading. I want to give a short intro to our anthem. Our anthem today is Turn the World Around by Harry Belafonte and Robert Friedman. Harry Belafonte describes the creation of this song after a trip to Guinea. He says, "I went deep into the interior of the country, and in a little village, I met with a storyteller. That storyteller went way back in African tradition and African mythology and began to tell this story about the fire, the sun, the water, the earth. He pointed out the whole of these things put together turns the world around. That all of us are here for a very, very short time. And in that time that we're here, there really isn't any difference in any of us if we take time out to understand each other. The question of the song is, do you know who you are or who I am? Do we care about each other? Because if we do, together we can turn the world around. Please watch Vickie, who will invite you into the chorus. Thank you. In preparing for today's service, I read the book that I gave you the summary from, The Intersectional Environmentalist: How to Dismantle Systems of Oppression to Protect People and Planet, by author Leah Thomas. She reminded me of how what we experience is interconnected with what others experience, of how our decisions and our actions do matter, of how exhausting it can be to keep bending the arc towards justice. She also gave me a hope in a holistic path towards our future. But before I speak to this intersectional path towards healing and change, I want to acknowledge that I have been hearing from some of you that we are tired and that we are overwhelmed. Tired from our civic engagement, tired from our personal sorrows, and overwhelmed by the many anguishing things that are happening in our world events. Many of us are frustrated that there is too little happening, or that what is happening too slowly on any given issue. Many of us are feeling overwhelmed as it is hard to know when to focus on which item, which issue. The climate crisis, war, racial injustice, threats to bodily autonomy, these are just a few of the issues that we are juggling to engage with, to acknowledge, and to incorporate into our being every day. In thinking about how we can do our part to help ourselves and to help heal the world, I have been thinking about how we must continue to acknowledge what is lost, what is being lost. I'm going to name a few of these losses, and I invite you, choir behind me, I know I'm not looking at you, but I feel you, you're in this. Those of you online, I know you're not in the room, but you are with us. So I invite all of us to come together in lamenting a few moments. We'll be breathing in together and breathing out with a large sigh together. And you may sigh loudly or softly. So take a moment to become aware of your surroundings, to become aware of your being. I invite you to become cognizant of taking care of yourself for a few minutes while we lament together. If you find yourself with tears, it's okay. I put out a few extra tissue boxes. Some of you may see them. Here's one for the choir. Tears are okay. If you want to light another candle, I have a basket of candles so that after the service, if you need to come up and light another candle before you go off into your week, I will remain at the chancel with you. Now, breathing in deeply, we're going to practice our sigh, and breathing out with a sigh. I will share with you some of what we have lost, and then we will breathe in together and breathe out with a sigh. We'll do this 4 times. This past year was the 50th anniversary of the Endangered Species Act. It was also a year in which 21 species of plants and animals unique to the landscapes claimed by the United States were declared extinct due to habitat loss and climate change. Right now, Dr. Catherine Hayhoe and a group of climate scientists, maybe people you know, are sending out a weekly Talking Climate newsletter with a not-so-good news section listing the ongoing setbacks arising from the climate crisis. I invite you to prepare to take a deep breath in, and when you exhale, to mourn with me, loudly or silently. Breathing in, breathing out, we mourn. These past 4 months in response to the attack by Hamas. The Israeli government's response, in addition to killing over 17,000 civilians in Gaza, has forced 80% of the population to flee their homes and left almost 25% of those in Gaza facing starvation. Right now, the Geneva Academy of International Humanitarian Law and Human Rights is monitoring 109 other armed conflicts around the world, including Afghanistan and the Ukraine. I invite you to prepare to take a deep breath in, and when you exhale, exhale a sigh to express the heartbreak for the lives lost. Breathing in, breathing out our heartbreak. In the United States, even before the current state laws limiting abortion care and gender-affirming care were passed following the Supreme Court decision in Dobbs, Black women were almost 3 times as likely to die from childbirth than non-Black women. And the death toll by homicide for trans and non-binary individuals nearly doubled from 2021 to 2022. Right now, the Southern Poverty Law Center has a hate map tracking the organizations working to keep Black lives and gender non-conforming lives at risk. So I invite you to prepare to take a breath in, and when you exhale, exhale a sigh to express your despair with me. Breathing in, breathing out our despair. For our last collective breath together, we think of what is personally affecting our own lives and the lives of those close to us, what is causing us concern or worry. Maybe it is something that has already been mentioned. Maybe illness or job loss, housing insecurity, or the death of a loved one. I invite you to prepare to take one last deep breath in and to exhale to express all these anxieties. Breathing in, breathing out our anxieties. These moments we take in lamentation, whether we make time for them alone or in community, they are vital to our mental and physical and emotional and spiritual health. Lamenting is hard work, and practicing caring for ourselves is part of that work. If you are comfortable now, I invite you to give yourself a hug. If you're here with someone who you have consent from to touch, I invite you to touch them on their shoulders as well. If you are comfortable, I invite yourself to rub your shoulders or to rub your tips of your fingers together or to rub the tops of your legs. To feel that self-generated energy, that energy of self-care that we have with us all the time. I invite you to take another deep breath in. And when you exhale, to feel the love generated. Now I ask you to think of something that you are grateful for. Maybe think of something that sustains you, something that you are proud of accomplishing, something that fills you up. Just one thing. And I invite you to prepare to take another deep breath in. And when you exhale, to express your gratitude, to express your self-love. Breathing in with love. Breathing out peace. Breathing in love. Breathing out peace. Breathing in love. Breathing out peace. You are not alone. You are not alone in your sorrows or the world's sorrows. You are not alone in your joys or your celebrations. We come together. We come together in lamentation. We come together in gratitude. I encourage you to make time each week, each day, if you can, for some self-care so that you don't permanently live in the state of mourning or heartbreak, in the state of despair or anxiety. We have to find, and sometimes we have to work hard to find the joy and the beauty and the gratitude and the contentment of life. As we care for ourselves, we will have more time and energy to care for our growing families and growing communities. We will have more time and energy to engage in the intersectional work of protecting people and protecting the planet. As we lament and take time to recognize our sorrow, we make more space for our gratitude. The intersectional environmentalist, author Leah Thomas, grounds her work in the history of the environmental justice movement, in the hardships and heartbreaks, and in the accomplishments. Many of you may have heard Reverend Eileen or me speak of intersectionality. It is a theory developed by lawyer Kimberly Crenshaw in 1989. And her legal theory of intersectionality traveled from the academia of law journals to mainstream parlance, with the term intersectional ending up in the dictionary. Leah Thomas takes the concept of intersectionality down yet another path, and for me, this is our path forward. A path that brings in the climate crisis, racial injustice, war, the threats against bodily autonomy, and the other issues of our time. It is a path that is holistic. It is a path that is both and instead of either or. This path does not mean that we cannot focus on a specific issue at a specific time, which we must. What it means is that we cannot focus on a specific issue at the expense of another issue. I am well aware that we live in a divisive and legislative culture that often makes this difficult, but our UU values call us to a world made whole. The either-or choices of our U.S. history, of our current politicians, have helped divide us into smaller and smaller factions, such as environmentalists setting to the side structural racism, or pro-choice advocates setting to the side gender-affirming healthcare. A recent example is from this week's Evanston City Council meeting. We cannot set to the side the anti-Semitism that is rising alongside the call to a ceasefire. We must maintain our call for a ceasefire by the Israeli government alongside our stand against anti-Semitism. It is hard to be in the space of both and. But I think we are living in a moment when it is vital for us to find the intersectional connections among the factions and bring all of us back together. It is time for us to lament together. It is time for us to find the beauty in the world together. we have this great gift of a large congregation, of having multiple issue-based social justice teams and many ways of getting involved. We have a great gift of a community of engaged, caring people, but I know that we are a people inundated with social media feeds, take action email requests, multiple online and in-person newspapers, in addition to all of the conversations that we are having with each other, with friends and neighbors, at demonstrations, and at City Hall. This gift of a large, engaged congregation is precious, but this gift also means that there is no one way forward. We will continue to be focused on many issues, and we will continue to get better at figuring out how they intersect. It means that we will miss a moment, and we'll have to catch up sometimes. It means that we will have different ideas, and we will have to have difficult conversations together to find a way forward together. It means, as a faith community, we will have to view the process as important as the outcome. The process is as important as the outcome. Because how we get to healing and change, whether in our personal lives or how we engage with the world, will affect the sustainability of that healing and change. The relationship building, the coming together to lament, the coming together to celebrate, those relationships, the care in not setting aside another being's rights or safety, these are the components of long-lasting, sustainable healing and change. These are the components that will help us make the world whole, that will help us make our lives whole. Blessed be.
As we extinguish the chalice, please join in saying the words on the screen by the Reverend Elizabeth Sell Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, number 175, We Celebrate the Web of Life.
breathing in love, breathing out peace. May this community hold you in times of lament and times of celebration. May regular self-care, coming back to your breath, become a part of your life. And may you come forward if you need to light a candle before going out into your week, breathing in love, breathing out peace. Blessed be. Go in peace.